Hello, welcome to Tsunami Books, Bookstore Stories, Episode 8. Today we've got Jeff Geiger here signing his new book. Can you hold it up for us? Actually, because all I can see is Wild Man and
Wild Man. Old news.
Old news, the great big one. Awesome. I'm actually in the process of it. You can put it down and keep signing now.
Great.
Jeff came yesterday to start signing, and in 1 hour he did 2 books.
Well, I had a drawing lesson from Emily, who gave me.
That
she
why?
Yes, last time she taught me how to draw birds because I was drawing birds on the power lines. Mm-hmm. So he's like, this is for the Wild Man signature. She taught me how to draw these little birds. Mm-hmm. Which is it's a life skill. I mean, once you can draw birds, then you can just keep drawing birds. And this time I'm doing waves, so I asked for some tips on wave structure, and she taught me how to do kind of the foam end. This wave isn't done yet, but basically, yeah. So I had a lesson, and then I went into the signing and got 2 books done.
Oh, right.
But it's nerve-wracking when you have an artist watching you do the signings. I mean, this is actually better. This is like an interview, but that was a little nerve-wracking.
All right, awesome. So, yes, back today to sign more books. So you'll probably hear the bulldozer in the background. We still have some stuff happening out on the street. But inside, we're going to talk about the great big one. So I've started reading this book, and I've just reached the part in the book where, without a spoiler, I will not say, but some big event happens that I totally wasn't expecting. So probably you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
So how did you know that the story needed that?
You know,
without spoilers.
It's tricky, right? This book took a lot of time to figure out which story wanted to be told in this book, because there's kind of a whole landscape within this town and the characters, and the way that they interact with each other. And I basically had 3 kind of keystone events that I knew happened. And what you're referring to is one of those events. It was just always there, you know? And that was there, and there's a few other events that I kind of can't give away as well, but there's kind of these 3 pieces that I kind of stitched the whole story around. And there were some drafts where some events happened before the book even occurred, so it was like told through flashbacks and after the fact. And there were some cases where that event might happen, they might be going toward that event the whole book, and it's a climax. So like I didn't know where they fell, but I knew that particular part of the book was always there, and it just was trying to figure out how it made sense in the context of the whole story.
So the main characters in the book are preppers.
Yes.
So tell us about that. What made you go that direction?
Oh my gosh. So
that's pretty fascinating, actually.
It is fascinating.
Really interesting to hear all the stuff that preppers do.
Yeah, I actually worked for I was working for Oregon Community Foundation, and I worked on the coast. And one day I was doing this kind of mundane PowerPoint presentation, and this super loud siren, like window shaking siren, filled the space, and everyone just seemed like so blasé. Like they didn't, and I was like rattled, just like trying to talk over it and just giving up. And it turned out that this is their weekly tsunami evacuation test. Uh-huh. And I started seeing, you always see the tsunami evacuation signs on the coast. And I just started thinking, like, what would it be like to live with that soundscape and that landscape? Like, you're always seeing these signs, you're hearing these test sirens every week. And in the crowd that day, it was not like a crowd, it was like 20 something people. There was a guy, and his name was Avery Horton, and he is the founder of the Southwest Oregon Preppers. And we got to talking. I was like, what was that siren? And we just got to talking about preppers and what it means to be a prepper, and how it's not what he would call Rambozo stuff, where, every prepper is armed to the teeth and ready to, blockade the road. And
camo socks.
Yeah, camo socks. He was wearing camo at the time. But as he said, camo is just comfortable. Like he just, so he kind of really gave me an education about preppers, and I've gone to some of the meetings and just really learned about, that lifestyle and kind of how many people actually participate in aspects of it that you might not necessarily know about. And I never got invited to a bunker because, you know, that's the next level. Like you don't tell someone about it. I mean, as I went to this meeting, like, well, does anybody have a bunker? Like, if we did, we wouldn't tell you. I said, okay, fair enough. But it's really cool. Like my discussions with the preppers actually really helped me when the smoke came, when the wildfires came, because I wasn't ready for that. And they were like, you know, get these basic things. So I had some of the stuff I needed when that happened. So I was really grateful for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So probably we should have done this before the questions, but do you want to just tell us about the book? And
Yeah, so the book is basically about, you have, as you said, there's a few teenagers involved in this kind of prepper organization on the Oregon coast. And as part of their duties as preppers, they run this kind of disaster preparedness radio station. And they're really into music as well. They're not just these one-sided, you know, all they do is prep. It's like they're really musical, really into music. They want to start a band. And kind of one night on the coast, they stumble upon like the best music they've ever heard on this wild AM radio wave. And I could get into a lot of the science of that, but basically, if you've ever been on a road trip late at night and you think the signals get weirder as the night gets longer, they actually do, because of the way the ionosphere functions and the way that radio waves travel. They actually travel farther when the sun goes down. And so they hear this music, and the music is so powerful. It's like that moment I think many of us have had when you hear a song that just stops you and you're like, what is this? Like I'm going to listen to this on repeat for the next, 5 years. Like, it's so good. And their discovery of this band basically changes kind of the direction of their lives in a certain way. They become obsessed with kind of finding this band, and they use some of their survival and prepper skills to kind of figure out where this broadcast is coming from. Who is this band that you cannot Google, you can't Shazam, there's no finding them. So yeah, that's kind of the basic setup.
Very cool. And of course, you can get the great big one at Tsunami Books. Thanks so much, Jeff.
Yes, thank you.